I think you might notice a little bit of a different voice right now leading you off. That is because I, Yehuda, the original guest star.
You're not a guest. You're one of us. We have to be switching our whole name because of you.
No, don't give away our secrets.
But you knew, like, the Ravens need one touchdown. Like, the Broncos might score one more field. So if you get one more touchdown,
Yeah, you went 10-9 call today.
you can win 10-9.
I'm going to go with the Commanders as well, just because it's too much of a question mark over there under center for the...
I can't believe you saw that right now.
That's asinine. You're crazy.
He's got
You're
the
crazy.
full package. He's
No
got
way.
The speed.
I don't care.
Jump ball.
No way. I can't even. It's hard to even look at you right now when you say something like that. That's crazy. Okay. And guess what? In basketball, you use a basketball. In football, you use a football.
All right, boys, let's do it. The NFL Playoff Super Wild Card Weekend is underway for the third year in a row. Super Wild Card Weekend. 2 more games were added on with the 17-game season that was added on 3 years ago. It started 3 years ago. That was the first time, guys. You want to know a little tidbit over here. Super Wild Card Weekend was our debut for video podcasts. That was the first time we did video podcasts. It was the first year that there was a super... that there were 6 games during the Wild Card Weekend, if you guys recall that. So we've definitely made much improvements till now. We have Meisty as a caricature. We have Yehuda's actual face, and we have my actual face. We know how to improvise now, and we know how to make it look great. So, you know, it's exciting. It's obviously been a long journey, but we're excited to bring you another year of Wild Card Weekend. How are we feeling, boys?
I'm hyped.
We're good. Yeah. Hype.
Can't complain about NFL playoffs. You know what I'm saying? This is the time of year that's everyone's pumped for.
I haven't to be just gonna say it. I'm not a fan of Super Wild Card Weekend. I don't need the Monday. I don't need that. Just give me football.
So I'll say this.
Yeah.
I want
Football on Monday and also an extra game. I don't know how you can complain about that.
Right. So here's the thing.
I want the extra game on Sunday.
Right. So someone was you were suggesting, Meisty, that like we have like a Scott Hansen situation on since there's 6 games, you know, have like a Scott Hansen situation.
I wanted that for either that. No, that was really for the week 18. I want a full on just like Scott Hansen, just for the games that matter. Yeah, I don't know. But Scott Hansen playoffs. Maybe I didn't mention Scott Hansen playoffs would be cool too. That would be cool. That would be really.
I'll say this. I don't think Saturdays are for NFL. That's like you said, Mike. That's college. Like, don't give me Saturday NFL games. Keep Sunday. Okay, you can put a Monday night game. I'm fine with that. But no, none of this Saturday business. When did this start? And now all of a sudden, because the college football regular season ends in the beginning of December, so now we're having Saturday games the last month and a half of the season. What? No, it's Sunday. Sunday's NFL day. What are we doing here? Come on.
Right.
I associated these Saturday games with the playoffs because they're trying to do every game a standalone game. You know, like they can't be competing with themselves, and so every game being 3 hours, you know, at least they're not putting a 1:00 Saturday game, you know, instead of like the Monday night game, so that the entire country can enjoy every single game and just, you know, watch that magnificence that is like Bills.
I will say this. There's nothing worse than the worst thing that ever happened was when the Ravens and the Steelers met, and they had it was like 21-0. I turned on the TV after Shabbos and it was 21-0, and I watched the Steelers slowly come back and win.
The Ray Rice fumble.
Yeah, it was the most painful. I was like.
That was the divisional round in 2011. That
was the
yeah.
It was Saturday 4:30 game.
Anquan Bolden dropped the touchdown. Tushmanzada dropped the 4th and 19. Yeah, those were some legendary games over there for Steelers fans at least. Those are some good memories for them. The Ravens' woes in the playoffs those years. They always did everything perfect except for a couple drops here and there. So with that being said, let's get into the NFL playoff Super wild card weekend. Teams that have been winning enough at least to sneak their way into the playoffs. And we're going to start off Saturday afternoon. I love this matchup. It's one of my favorite matchups of the weekend, honestly. I think the AFC games are setting up a little better than the NFC games in terms of on-field matchups. In terms of storylines, the NFC's got to take the cake there, right? But in terms of on-field matchups, there's some great on-field matchups in the AFC. So let's start with you, Maestri. What are your thoughts about Joe Flacco heading to Texas, first playoff game since he was with the Ravens against New England in 2015, and playing the AFC South division winners?
That's crazy.
It's such a crazy thing to hear in this time of like our lives, to hear that type of conversation being like, oh, I can't even like put that into perspective. It's so crazy to think Joe Flacco was in the playoffs in 2024. It's mind-boggling. I'm praying he wins. I would love to see Flacco come to Baltimore. I mean, as a football fan, I think there's no better storyline to that. I mean, the Stafford going to I think this is better than Stafford returning to Detroit. I mean, this is I don't know, but about this game, this is going to be one of those games that we're going to be like, this is the prime time night game. This is overtime, something like that, an overtime, or you're just going to be a back and forth, two offenses just dueling it out. The Browns do have a better defense, but I think that the Texans offense they're in full hype mode. Just CJ Stroud is just him. He wants to win badly. It's a team that can be beat. The Browns are beatable. I know they're good, but they're beatable. I think we're gonna have a really good matchup. I think this is going to be a very exciting game. I hope you can I help record it and get as much as I can of it. So
NFL Plus.
Yeah, true. Got to get that premium service. Joe Flacco, he is playing great. He's still making turnovers though. Throwing interceptions and YOLO balls. So I love to see, like, I think it was against the Rams game, against the Rams, when I was watching with friends in Red Zone, and I was like, wow, Joe Flacco is balling out, but like, where's the Joe Flacco I know and love? And then he drops back down like 3 or down 7 with 7 minutes left in the fourth quarter, first down, right? It's not like a third down and long, gotta have it. It's first down, bootleg, just chucks a deep ball, deep YOLO ball up like it's a Hail Mary, like this is the last play, desperation throw, and it gets easily picked off. And it's like, I love this story, and Flacco is playing awesome, but there's always that, he's playing good is what I meant to say. He's playing well, but then he has at least one interception in every single game that he's played in, and it's like, it's the playoffs, like every little thing is going to matter. And football's a game of inches, obviously. We love it. We know it. Couple of those inches may have saved, the Bucks division as a different division winner that we'll talk about. When they knocked out the ball, when Antoine Winfield knocked the ball out of DJ Chark's hands, right? Like, just the play that I was just thinking of that really personifies like the game of inches and how slim the margins are in the NFL. But if Houston, the Browns beat Houston earlier this season, a couple of weeks ago, but CJ Stroud was not playing in that game, and Flacco still threw 2 picks in that game against a defense that isn't as good as the Browns defense is like average. It's like solid against the run, not very good against the pass. But if he does that against Houston again, and CJ Stroud and the Texans can play complementary football and get points off those turnovers, I could see the Texans upsetting the Browns. And I say upset even though it's in Houston and, home field advantage. But the Browns are favored because of that ferocious defense. And I think they can get after CJ Stroud. And him being a rookie is not great for his stats. I heard that rookies are 17 rookies in their first start against a guy who's made a playoff start are 17-35-1 against the spread. So usually they do not succeed against more experienced quarterbacks. But CJ Stroud, he looks to be an exception. and a very solid quarterback and guy who the moment might not be too big, but he's still a rookie. Like, obviously, Lamar Jackson's not the same quarterback as C.J. Stroud, but Lamar was playing great. Defense was playing solid, and then the moment was too big for him. It was obvious. So you never know if the moment's too big for Stroud. The Browns defense will overwhelm him, but on the flip side, if he lives up to the moment and they're able to capitalize on what there will be a Joe Flacco turnover, as much as Joe Cool in the playoffs, like he's awesome, he's money in the playoffs, but he's gonna throw at least one pick, and the Texans can, if they can take advantage of that, then they may be able to pull off this upset.
Yeah, listen, the whole Joe Flacco thing has been overblown for one reason and one reason only. He has like 300+ yards in every game. But, I could also throw a screen to Jerome Ford and let him run 80 yards and break 7 tackles. I mean, great. Like, that's not what's been so intriguing about Joe Flacco through his first 5 games that he's been putting up big numbers. I actually think those are completely inflated. What's so intriguing about Joe Flacco is, sort of what you mentioned, Yehuda, is that he's just like letting the ball fly. And granted, listen, if you take out his best game, which we'll get to in a second, his best game of this 5-game stretch with the Browns, he has 6 big-time throws compared to 7 turnover-worthy plays. When you have more turnover-worthy plays than big-time throws, it rarely works out for you. That's not a good formula. If it's you want the big-time throws to be at least 6 or 7 more. That means yes, he is sort of offsetting those mistakes with big throws, but only evening it out. And that's been fine till now. Remember, who are the 5 teams they played? They lost to the Rams, the best team they played in that stretch. They lost. Flacco didn't have a great game in that one. Then they played Chicago, which, Flacco did not have a good game in that one. And they literally, gave Chicago that game, and Chicago just, blew it away. Then they played the Jets, the Texans, and the Jaguars. It really wasn't a particularly difficult schedule. No good defenses. Now they're obviously playing against the Texans again, but like you said, without C.J. Stroud the first time. And in those games, it was like, okay, listen, I'm gonna make some big plays. I'm also gonna make some boneheaded decisions. But when I do that, I got Myles Garrett, I got JOK, I got Denzel Ward. No problem, you'll get me the ball back. And that generally it worked for the Browns. It worked. They won the last 4 games with him, right? But there's much less margin for error in the playoffs. And you're playing against CJ Stroud, and, Flacco's best game of the season by far was against the Texans. I thought it was excellent. That was the only full Flacco game I watched. It was one of 2 full Flacco games I watched, the Jets game as well, and I thought he was excellent against Texans. I thought he may had one mistake in there. He had 4 big-time throws. I thought he saw the field really well. He took what the defense gave him. Really nice throws down the field. Really took advantage of his playmakers. That connection with him and Amari Cooper that day was just unbelievable. But outside of that Texans game, he's just been, he's been the same Joe Flacco that we've known to love the last 8 years, right? So that's really all it is. I think that best game was against the Texans. So will he repeat that? They didn't have C.J. Stroud, but that doesn't affect the defense. The defense did get shredded in that game. So it's really such an intriguing storyline because these are 2 teams that just played each other a couple weeks ago. The starting quarterback wasn't there for the Texans, but Joe Flacco still tore him to shreds on the offensive side. On the other hand, Joe Flacco hasn't really been that great outside of that game. So, but people think he's been great just because he has 350 yards every game. So it's such a fascinating narrative. And you have the rookie quarterback. On the other side, listen, C.J. Stroud, I certainly think is capable of winning this game. I'm sort of happy. I didn't want the Jaguars to collapse because it just upsetted me that they collapsed like that. But I do think this is a better matchup than the Jaguars-Browns. I certainly think C.J. Stroud will pick up a better fight. Trevor Lawrence has been banged up. He has not looked sharp in the last 5-6 weeks of the season. C.J. Stroud has looked just that. He's looked sharp. He has the 3rd highest average depth of target in the league, and he's really been slinging the ball to his playmakers. Nico Collins, when Tank Dell was on the field, it was so good. If you had Tank Dell on the field right now, could you imagine you had Tank Dell and Nico over there? But he's still been able to improvise and make the plays when needed to. Hasn't been perfect, but he's a rookie. For a rookie, he's been great. And I'm very much looking forward to this matchup. Finally, this is the most difficult opponent, that the most difficult offense that the Browns are going to go up against since Flacco has since they signed Flacco. So this is the real test, guys. Can they beat the Texans? And then when they beat the Texans, can they go on and beat the Bills or the Ravens? This is these are the games. This is what we see. Is Flacco really back? Is just a fake? Oh, I love it, man. I love it. You can't get better than this. Joe Flacco is back in the NFL playoffs, guys. Joe freaking Flacco. Man. Anyway, so what do we think? Who's going to win this game? Let's go through some predictions over here, Meisty. Meisty, what do you got?
I'm going to pick the Browns.
Fair.
I am also going to take the Cleveland Browns because I do think Flacco will make some mistakes, but the defense will overcome it. And I do think that the moment, not that it's going to be too big for CJ Stroud, but that it's the playoffs. It's his first game as a rookie, first playoff game as a rookie. It's going to be a lot. And so I think the Browns will be able to escape with a road win. But I would not be surprised if Houston is able to beat them.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth in this one, and I'm going to lean toward the Texans just to be a little bit of a contrarian. I've loved the Browns all season. I think they have, a top 5 roster in football outside the quarterback position, but something about CJ Stroud. I like him. He's a good player. There's something about him, and he's really just gotten his playmakers involved. And they've got good playmakers. They've really developed. They've gotten better throughout the season. So, even without Tank Dell, just him to Nico Collins, that's just been a great hookup. So I'm gonna edge with the Texans, guys. A little bit of an upset, but I'm gonna edge with the Texans here. Yeah. I know I generally don't pick against the Texans, but here I'm going to. All right, guys. Next game, we got the Dolphins and we got the Chiefs. Now, many have said the Dolphins can't go into cold weather and win games. Many, meaning Meisty and I, we discussed this last week about home field advantage and all that type of stuff. So, Meisty, what do you think? You think the Dolphins are going to go into KC?
It's going to be 5 degrees, Rocky. It's going to be freezing.
So, so I take it you think there's going to be a blowout.
Well, I don't know because I know someone I talked to today told me that the Chiefs like to play it close. So
who was that? Who was that? Who told you that?
Michigan. Yehuda told me that Chiefs like to play it close. Maybe it'll be a little closer, but I think that even if it is a little closer, I think when it comes down to 4 or 5 minutes left to go in the game, that there's gonna be that touchdown that's gonna make it a 3-possession game, and maybe Miami scores another touchdown or not. I don't know, but you're just going to be, it won't really be close. I don't really think it's going to be that close. Maybe even Miami scores the first touchdown and everyone goes, ooh, and then they don't look, then it's 21 unanswered points.
Just like against the Ravens. They came out strong. They didn't finish strong.
They could not finish yet the first scripted drive. Miami is so bad in the cold, and I think I heard something that they're if it was under 30 degrees since either 2008 or 2021, but I feel like it's probably 2008 because there are not a lot of games that are under 30 degrees. Since that time, under 30 degrees, the Dolphins are 0-11. So they're unfortunately the finesse team. Miami's an awesome place, very cool place. It's nice weather, but football playoffs, all these cliche, Lambeau, frozen tundra, and defense was championships. It's true. There's a reason that it's a cliche. It's because it's true. And you got to punch people in the mouth in the playoffs. You got to set the tone. You got to beat people up. You got to bully people in this game. And the Dolphins missing their entire pass rush. One of their top corners, potentially some of their offensive skill position players like Waddle and Mostert, and Tyreek Hill hurt. And even if Mostert and Waddle do play, they're injured. They're on some backup alignment. They're so beat up. And even though the Chiefs are not the same Chiefs, they are going to be able to control the clock with a solid run game with Pacheco. They're going to be able to play good defense like we saw in Germany. They're going to be able to, I think, contain Tyreek Hill mostly, and especially in this cold and with a solid defense, that the Chiefs are going to be able to get a grinded out win, which is not really something that we expect from the Chiefs. We expect them to be like Miami, more finesse and more offensively powered. But the Chiefs have a top 7 defense according to DVOA, and they are going to be able to shut down the Dolphins. Now, the only thing I would be nervous about if I was a Chiefs fan would be if Tyreek Hill tries to go nuclear on his former team and just, say, I'm taking over this game. I'm going for 175 and 2 tutties and just, breaking the Chiefs back. That's the only thing that could get me scared as a Chiefs fan. But otherwise, I don't see any other way that the Chiefs lose this game.
It's a little ironic that, you think of the Chiefs Dolphins. If I would have told you 2 months ago Chiefs Dolphins in the first round, you'd have been like, oh my gosh, this is like an AFC Championship-esque game in the first round of the playoffs. The two of the highest flying offenses in the league hasn't quite panned out that way, right? We have a bunch of Kadarius Toney, MVS letting us down over there in KC.
Well,
Rashee Rice has come on as of late, but Kelsey has less than 1,000 yards first time in his career. I think is it first time in his career, something like that.
yeah,
right, and he's had most drops of his career as well. So there seems to be some sort of theme going on there, and all of a sudden the Chiefs are relying on their defense, right? L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie's been one of the best cornerback duos in the league this year. Trent McDuffie has the most pressures in the league out of any quarterback, 16, and he's also tied for the most sacks with 3. So not only has he been a great coverage corner, he's the 8th best in the league according to PFF. He's also been one of the best pass rushing corners in the league. Generally, so we see this with the Ravens and Kyle Hamilton, right? They blitz him all the time. But generally, your big DBs that blitz are safeties. They're generally not cornerbacks. But the Chiefs sent McDuffie an abnormal amount of time for a cornerback. So listen, they have their defense, like you said, number 7 in DVOA this year. They have been locked down. The reason the Chiefs are in the playoffs right now, as far as I'm concerned, is because of that defensive unit. And without Waddle, I think this team is just so different without Waddle. It just comes to show, granted, Tua is fine. Tyreek Hill is the best receiver in football. But what put that team over the top was having Tyreek on one side, Waddle on another side. If Waddle's not able to play and Tyreek's banged up, it's going to be hard, man, to overcome this. The Chiefs' offense has been slow, but you don't see Patrick Mahomes losing in wild card weekend. It's just not going to happen, guys. It's just not going to happen.
So another thing that
you don't even see him playing wild card weekend because they usually have a bye.
Yeah, no, but something that you really that you said though is the Chiefs are relying on their defense right now heavily. That's the crazy thing because the number one player the number one player right now, active player, is Patrick Mahomes, and you're not even relying on him right now. And what he's capable of doing. We might get a little old Mahomes back.
I know, but we were expecting that all season. That's what they're saying all season.
Yeah, but now it's a new season. 2024, it's a new playoffs. It's a new season.
You flip a switch, I know, but you can't flip a switch with Kadarius Toney and MDS as your receiver. It's Sky Moore.
But you can with Sky Moore. You can always flip the switch with Travis Kelce and your running game, and just being Patrick Mahomes is. I'm not going to say he's going to win it all, but the fact is that if the defense can hold teams to 16 minus points a game, then how hard is Mahomes should not be failing to score 16 points a game in the playoffs. I'm sorry, if he is, then there's a bigger problem.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree. That's the only reason this is even a question. Meaning, if Mahomes is coming in here playing like Mahomes, then we're not asking ourselves the question who's going to win this game. That's why we're asking ourselves the question in the first place. So I'm assuming seems like we're all going Chiefs over here. Micey, who you got? Make it official.
Dolphins. No, I'm kidding. Chiefs.
I knew that was coming. Yehuda?
Chiefs.
I'm also taking the Dolphins. Yeah, I'm taking Chiefs. But it will be close because, like I said, as that handsome stranger said to Micey earlier, the Chiefs don't blow anybody out.
Handsome stranger.
And I don't think they're going to Michigan. I don't think they'll be able to flip a switch. And I don't consider 10 points a blowout. I could see them winning by 10 points, but it'll be close.
Yeah, I'm going with you guys. I think especially if Waddle's in play. If Waddle plays, it might change my opinion a little bit, but I'll just assume he doesn't. And
he was limited.
Limited practice. So are they going to push into play? Maybe. I don't know. It's a good question. But yeah, someone was saying McDaniel's on the hot seat if they lose this game. What do you... I heard those rumors going around. I'm like, okay, if he's on the hot seat, I'm sure there'll probably be 28 other teams that'll probably give him a call right when they...
Yeah, probably.
when they release him. So they probably wouldn't be a wise move. All right, so we're all going Chiefs across the board. So let's go.
Even just let me just touch on it real quick. Even if they, by the way, the coach of the year has been fired before. Now keep moving. That's just a different sport. But
wow. What are you referring to?
In Toronto fired coach of the year. I forgot who it was. The Raptors fired coach of the year, and then they hired Nick Nurse, and now they won. And then they won, but they had a coach of the year, and they fired him. He got fired the day before the awards show.
Oh, that's interesting. Right, I think I heard about this.
Yeah.
Yes, when Casey.
after being named.
So you're saying maybe McDaniel will get fired if they lose this game? Is that what you're trying to say?
It's possible. Could be. I'm just saying.
I think coaching is so much more important in football that because basketball is such a smaller game because such fewer players just by the nature of the game that you obviously coaching is very important for both sports, but I think it's more important for a team sport where there's over 50 guys on the roster versus 15.
Yeah.
It's a little different, but yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, Mike Vrabel's a former coach of the year, and he just got fired.
It's true.
True.
Former.